raising the level of gambling in Lee County?
Well, first of all, I always want to make clear to people that may not have thought about it this way, but we already do have gambling to a degree here in Florida. We have the Florida Lottery, we have internet cafes, we have the dog tracks, we have horse tracks, and all those things do create jobs. They do drive money into our economy. But I think that that decision should really go to a local referendum for each and every community to decide whether or not they believe that gambling is suitable for their community. Having said that, if a certain community does think that that's the best way to grow their economy, or one of the good ways to grow their economy, I would want to, as a legislator, do my very best to ensure that when those large resort casinos were built, if that's what the community elected to do, that they would be built with Florida jobs, Florida employees, and not bringing in people from out of state or out of the country to take those jobs and build that infrastructure for the gaming industry.
One of the issues that has been brought up in earlier candidate interviews today has been the issue of the murder rate in the city of Fort Myers. City of Fort Myers is going to be part of your district if you're elected.
Yes, it is.
Do you believe that there's any role that legislators can play in either assisting the community or assisting law enforcement and prosecutors with regard to addressing this murder rate? Because we're on track right now to exceeding last year's record murder rate.
I know it is extremely disheartening, and I saw again this morning that we had another tragedy took place, and I'm very, very concerned for our community. I don't believe as a state legislator that I really can take an active role in grappling with that issue. I certainly am wholeheartedly in support of law enforcement and I'm very tough on crime. If there were an opportunity to do anything, I would certainly seize upon it. I'm a big proponent of community awareness. I live in the city of Fort Myers and in Edison Park, as a matter of fact, and we as a community have been very much on heightened awareness for crime. We're communicating much more actively than we ever have in the past. We're using the internet to send out community bolos so that we know who's there, who to be on the lookout for. We're posting more signs for potential criminals so they know that we are watching. So those are things that I think we can do as community members to be effective. But at the legislative level for local crime, I don't see a large role for myself.
Those are very interesting from an individual perspective and a family perspective, things, perhaps best practices that could be shared with other parts of the city in terms of those things.
Yes, absolutely.
What do you think about the school system in Lee County, and especially the job that Dr. Burke is doing?
Well, I wouldn't be able to compare what Dr. Burke's doing to others because I'm not as educated on past performances, but I am happy to see that we were able to find some additional funding so we don't have to cut our teachers' aides in the schools, and that we are going to be able to continue to maintain a certain level of teaching. And I'm also a big proponent of the STEM programs that we are utilizing, and I was glad to see that those are expanding. I think that any educator today, whether it's at the administrative level or at the classroom level, has a giant task because we do have budgetary constraints that are limiting what we can do. We also have the challenges that are there with the FCATs to try to meet the level of standards that have been prescribed. So I think that anyone that's taking on that task and succeeding in any large degree, as Dr. Burke is, has my appreciation.
With regard to education funding, this has certainly been an issue over many years where legislators have faced off with school board members about what is appropriate per student funding. And one of the issues that, aside from the funding aspect of it, is standards.
Yes.
Florida Comprehensive Assessment Test will eventually be phased out, but there's the issue of, with these FCAT writing scores, that the bar was lowered after the scores had come out. And how might you be able to influence that process? Obviously, the Department of Education is the State Department, and tell us a little bit about your ideas of how you can make sure that our students get the training and are globally competitive.
Sure. Well, there's so many prongs to that. Let me try to address a few of them. I believe that there should be standards in place for measuring students' success, because there are standards in life and everything we do. We're measured, we have some standard that's an arbitrary one that we have to meet. Having said that, I think it's very important for the students and the teachers in our schools to know that the standards are attainable with the resources that we have, and that they aren't moving. I think one of the greatest challenges for teachers and students is that the FCATs and the mandates for measurement change so frequently, and it's difficult for them to make adjustments to quickly come up to speed and be able to meet that standard. I think one of the solutions can be private industry. I think that if private industry sees the benefits of the STEM programs and the benefits of students succeeding at a very high level, they will be willing to partner with us perhaps in a meaningful way, whether it's through enrichment programs, whether it's through monies to the schools for special programs, because their goal, and I think our goal, which are synonymous, are to be able to have students that are well educated that they can then put to work in these very highly skilled positions. And if we don't produce those students, they're going to have to look out of state to find those students. And then, I mean, not students, but the people that have graduated and have those skills. And if they have to do that, there is a cost involved in doing that. They have to pay to recruit people. So I think that if we can convey to our local businesses and to our school boards that we have the same goal in mind and find a way to come together to meet shortfalls and to make sure our students get the education they need, that we'll be successful, and I think we can do that. I truly believe it.
We have heard from other individuals, some elected, some running for office, that there's an issue with the county commission's relationship with the state legislators and the state legislature. How do you get along with the county commissioners, and do you think you can work with them and the legislative alliance, if you will, from Southwest Florida?
I feel very confident that I can get along with the leaders and the people that are working at different levels to take care of our community, whether it's our current delegation, whom I've had an opportunity to meet and discuss one-on-one with our goals, and we have a very nice rapport. I have a very nice rapport with all of them. As far as our county commissioners, I respect each and every one of them. They have different opinions, but again, my skills as an attorney, my background as an arbitrator and mediator lend themselves to, again, understanding different points of view and being able to respect them and work with them. So I think that will be a strength that I'll be able to bring to Tallahassee.
Over time, the length of the legislative delegation meetings locally have been reduced from historical highs, and it's the one time a year where the community does not have to travel 300 miles to meet at least with a portion of the legislature. How do you feel about those local legislative delegation meetings? They generally held like in December.
Okay, I was not 100% clear on your question, but let me see if I can address it. If I'm not addressing your point, let me know.
Okay.
I think those are very important. In fact, it would be my goal to have more of those if possible, because I think that our ability to get things that we want done as a community relies upon our strength as a delegation and our ability to understand what each and every one of us values and thinks important, and our knowledge about what different bills each one may be potentially working on. So I would encourage the delegation to meet more frequently, because there's strength in the cohesion and knowledge of each other. So I would bring that to Tallahassee, because I want Southwest Florida to be thought of as having an extremely cohesive, strong delegation, and I think we are poised to do that.